Right, so today we're diving into some seriously intriguing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
This Valiant Thor,
Right.
this supposed visitor from Venus, who allegedly spent time at the Pentagon in the 1950s.
Okay.
So we're going to be trying to sort what's real and what's pure science fiction here.
Yeah.
Our main source is this July 2024 article from Discovery UK.
Okay.
It's called The Story of Valiant Thor,
Oh.
Visitor from Venus.
Right.
But the big question is,
Yeah.
did an alien really live and advise the U.S. government for 3 years?
That's wild.
Let's unpack this whole thing.
Yeah, what really strikes me
Okay.
is how the story emerged in 1967
Okay.
through a book by this guy, Frankie Stranges. He was a Christian minister,
Okay.
but he was also deeply into UFOs.
Interesting.
And his book, Stranger the Pentagon, is like the only source for this.
Really?
Yeah, he claims he personally met Thor.
Why?
But it makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
Does this single source make the story more believable or less?
It definitely raises some eyebrows.
Yeah.
No official documents.
Right.
No other witnesses.
It's his account.
Just Strange's account.
It's pretty wild.
So let's say, just for fun, that there's something to this story.
Okay.
Where did this Valiant Thor character supposedly come from?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Venus.
Venus.
Of all places.
Oh, wow.
And this is where the science gets really fascinating.
Right.
Because Venus, as we know it,
Yeah.
is an absolute inferno. Like,
Right.
imagine a surface temperature of nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It rains sulfuric acid.
Wow.
It's hard to imagine any life surviving there, let alone a technologically advanced civilization
Right.
capable of interstellar travel.
So not exactly a tropical getaway then.
Absolutely not.
But according to the story,
Right.
this is where our handsome alien friend hails from.
That's what they say.
So what brings him to Earth?
Well,
What's his mission at the Pentagon?
Strange's book claims that Thor came with a message of peace, urging humanity to ditch nuclear weapons and to care for the environment.
So he's like an environmental activist from space.
Basically.
Yeah.
Interesting. He even supposedly offered to share advanced technologies,
Like what?
like a zero-carbon energy device
Oh, wow.
and something called a material replicator.
A material replicator.
Uh-huh.
That sounds incredible.
It does.
Like something straight out of Star Trek.
Right.
Like, imagine the possibilities.
I know.
If we could just replicate any material we needed.
Yeah. Shortages would become a thing of the past.
Wow.
We could create anything.
Really?
Food to medicine on demand.
That's amazing.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
This is where the lack of evidence really hits hard.
What do you mean?
There's no blueprints, no recovered tech, nothing to suggest this technology ever existed.
So while a zero carbon energy source and a material replicator
Right.
sound pretty appealing,
Yeah.
especially given our current global challenges,
For sure.
we have to remain skeptical.
Absolutely, these claims are extraordinary.
Yeah.
But without any tangible proof,
Right.
it's tough to take them at face value.
Mm.
We have to ask ourselves, how do we evaluate such claims
Right.
when there's nothing concrete to back them up?
That's a really good question.
It is.
But the story gets even wilder.
Oh, yeah.
It claims that Thor didn't just visit.
Uh-huh.
He allegedly lived in the Pentagon basement
What?
for 3 years,
No way.
attending high-level meetings.
Wow.
There are even accounts of him visiting the United Nations
Seriously.
and preaching at a church in Alexandria.
If we take the story at face value,
Yeah.
Thor's alleged actions
Mm-hmm.
seem a bit counterintuitive.
What do you mean?
You'd think an alien visitor wanting to remain undetected wouldn't be hanging out at the Pentagon or giving sermons?
Right. It's almost like he wanted to be seen.
It is a bit strange.
Speaking of seeing,
Yeah.
are there any pictures of this mysterious Valiant Thor?
There are some grainy photos floating around online, but with the technology back then,
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to verify their authenticity.
Right, like back in the 1950s.
Exactly.
Proto manipulation
Yeah.
wasn't as sophisticated as it is today.
Right.
So those photos could easily be misidentified
Uh-huh.
or even doctored.
Definitely.
It's a good reminder that not everything we see online,
Oh.
especially when it comes to extraordinary claims,
Especially then.
is necessarily true.
Not at all.
So are we saying this whole Valiant Thor story is a complete fabrication?
Well, it's a puzzle for sure.
Yeah.
And while the story as it's presented
Yeah.
lacks credible evidence, that doesn't mean it's entirely without merit.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What do you mean by that?
Well, even if we consider the story a fabrication,
Okay.
it still raises some interesting questions.
Like what?
Why do stories like this capture our imaginations?
Mm.
What does it say about our hopes and fears
Right.
in a world grappling with global challenges?
Disney.
What does it say about our longing for something beyond ourselves?
That's a great point.
It is.
It makes you think about the deeper implications.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about these deep dives.
Right.
It's not just about uncovering the facts.
Mhm.
It's also about exploring those bigger questions.
Absolutely.
And those aha moments they spark.
Exactly.
Speaking of sparking ideas,
Yeah.
I think it's time we dive into the cultural context
Okay.
of the 1950s.
Right.
And this story first emerged.
Sounds good.
Let's explore what was happening in the world
Okay.
and why a story like Valiant Thor's
Right.
might have resonated with people back then.
Yeah, let's unpack that. So the 1950s,
Okay.
truly a remarkable time.
Yeah.
The Cold War was in full swing.
Right.
The threat of nuclear annihilation
Oh.
loomed large over everything.
It was a period of immense tension,
Definitely.
rapid change.
Absolutely.
People were both excited and terrified about the future.
Right.
So how does this tie into the Valiant Thor narrative?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
In the midst of this global uncertainty,
Yeah.
along comes this handsome, charismatic alien figure
Okay.
who embodies both our anxieties and aspirations.
Interesting.
He preaches peace,
Right.
offers solutions to our energy
With
problems.
zero carbon technology.
Exactly.
And warns us about the dangers of our self-destructive tendencies.
Right.
So he's almost like a superhero figure,
Yeah.
arriving just when we need him most.
It's a very compelling narrative,
It is.
especially in a time of such global tension.
Exactly. And that's why, despite the lack of evidence,
Yeah.
this story has continued to resonate with people.
For decades.
For decades, it's fascinating.
It really is.
It speaks to our deep-seated desire for guidance.
Right.
Someone to show us a better path forward.
It also taps into our fascination with the unknown.
Oh, yeah.
That possibility that we're not alone in the universe.
Right.
That there might be other intelligent beings out there watching over us.
It's a comforting thought.
It is.
But let's play devil's advocate for a moment.
Okay.
If a being like Thor really existed
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to help humanity,
Yeah.
wouldn't there be more concrete evidence?
You would think.
Wouldn't we have seen some tangible impact
Right.
from his supposed 3 years at the Pentagon?
That's a valid point.
Yeah, you'd think that if Thor possessed the advanced technology
Right.
described in Strange's book,
Uh-huh.
there would be some trace of it,
You'd think so.
some indication that it was shared with the U.S. government.
Exactly.
And yet there's nothing that makes you wonder if maybe the story has been embellished over time.
It's possible.
Perhaps with each retelling, details were added
Right.
or altered.
Turning a simple anecdote into a grand space opera.
Yeah, like a game of telephone.
Exactly.
Details get muddled, timelines shift,
Right.
and suddenly you have a narrative that's more myth than reality.
Exactly.
So how do we separate the myth from the potential reality?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, how do we approach a story like this with a healthy dose of skepticism
Right.
without completely dismissing the possibility of the unknown?
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
We need to be critical of the information we encounter,
Right.
especially when it comes to extraordinary claims.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence,
Exactly.
like Carl Sagan said.
It's true.
And in the case of Valiant Thor, that evidence is currently lacking.
It is.
But that doesn't mean we should stop asking questions,
No.
seeking new information,
Right.
challenging our assumptions about the universe
Uh-huh.
and our place in it.
You know, even with all the skepticism we've applied,
Yeah.
I still find myself drawn to the story.
I get that.
There's something alluring about the idea of a benevolent alien visitor
Yeah.
offering guidance and solutions to
Right.
our earthly problems.
It taps into a deep-seated human longing
It does.
for connection
Ah.
and hope.
It's almost comforting, especially in a world that can feel increasingly chaotic and uncertain.
But for now, we'll have to keep searching for concrete evidence
We will.
to support those hopes.
Right, but remember,
What?
while the Valiant Thor story might be more fiction than fact,
Mm-hmm.
there are genuine mysteries out there,
Oh, really?
unexplained phenomena
Uh-huh.
that defy our current understanding
Interesting.
and warrant further investigation.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
It is.
Are you hinting at what our next deep dive might explore?
perhaps.
Okay, I'll bite.
But for now, I think it's important for our listeners
Right.
to consider the broader implications of the Valiant Thor story.
Okay.
Because even if it's a fabrication,
Yeah.
it acts as a sort of cultural mirror, reflecting the issues that continue to challenge us today.
I see what you mean, Thor's supposed message
Right?
about peace, sustainability, and human unity.
Those are the very things we're still grappling with today.
They are.
And that's why it's so important to engage with these narratives critically.
Oh, okay.
Even if the story itself is a fabrication,
Right.
it can spark meaningful conversations
I see.
about the kind of future we want to create.
So we can use fiction as a springboard
Exact.
for exploring real-world issues
Yeah.
and possibilities.
Precisely. It's a way of engaging our imaginations. Asking ourselves, what if?
Okay.
What if we had access to that zero carbon technology?
Right.
What if we could overcome our differences and work together to tackle climate change?
Those are some pretty big what-ifs.
They are,
Yeah.
but they're important questions to consider.
They are.
And who knows,
Yeah.
maybe by engaging with these imaginative scenarios, we can inspire real-world solutions.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
Using our imaginations to fuel positive change.
that's the key.
It is.
And I think that's something Valiant Thor, whether real or fictional,
Right.
can teach us.
What's that?
He reminds us to dream big, to strive for peace, unity,
Right.
and to never stop seeking knowledge.
He's like a cosmic ambassador of hope,
He is.
even if he only exists in the realm of storytelling.
Perhaps that's the true power of the Valiant Thor story.
Yeah.
It's not about whether he actually existed,
Mm-hmm.
but about the enduring human desire
Okay.
for connection guidance
Yeah.
and hope for a better future.
So what's the final verdict, fact or fiction?
Well, based on the available evidence,
Okay.
it's safe to say that the Valiant Thor story is most likely a fabrication,
Okay.
but that doesn't diminish its impact.
Right.
It continues to spark curiosity,
Yeah.
ignite our imaginations,
Right.
and remind us of the importance of critical thinking.
It's a story that keeps on giving,
It does.
even if it's just a really good yarn.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll encounter real evidence of extraterrestrial visitors.
That would be amazing.
It would.
Until then, we'll keep exploring the mysteries of the universe. One deep dive at a time.
One deep dive at a time.
Well said.
Thank you.
And to all our listeners,
Yeah.
a huge thank you for joining us on this wild ride
It's been fun.
through the story of Valiant Thor.
It has.
Keep those questions coming,
Yes.
and we'll see you next time for another deep dive
Absolutely.
into the fascinating and often perplexing
Oh, yeah.
world of the unknown.
Until next time.
You know what's fascinating? How this story, even if fictional,
Right.
acts as a sort of cultural mirror.
It does.
Thor's messages about peace,
Yeah.
sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
and human unity.
They reflect the issues
Yeah.
that continue to challenge us.
Even today.
Exactly.
So we can use fiction as a tool
We can.
to understand ourselves and the challenges we face.
It's a powerful idea.
It is a powerful idea.
What if
that's
we
it.
had access to that advanced technology?
Right.
What if we could overcome our differences and work together to solve climate change?
What if we could create a world?
Where peace and unity
Exactly.
were more than just aspirations.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities,
It is.
even if they stem from a fictional story.
It is.
Maybe,
Yeah.
just maybe,
Yeah.
by exploring these imaginative scenarios,
Right.
we can find inspiration for real-world solutions.
That's a great point.
After all,
Yeah.
many scientific breakthroughs
Aw.
began as imaginative leaps.
But let's bring it back to Valiant Thor for a moment.
Okay.
The story claims he offered to share this advanced technology with
Yeah.
the U.S. government.
Right.
One of the most intriguing examples is the material replicator.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us more about what that would entail
Sure.
from a scientific perspective?
A material replicator,
Okay.
in theory,
Yeah.
would be able to assemble matter
Yeah.
at a molecular level,
Hmm.
essentially creating any object or substance
Wow.
on demand.
That's incredible.
It would revolutionize manufacturing,
Right.
even food production.
Wow.
We could theoretically eliminate waste
Right.
and scarcity,
Hmm.
solve resource conflicts,
Right.
and create a world of abundance.
It sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It has, doesn't it?
Is there any scientific basis
Wow.
for believing such a device could actually exist?
It's certainly beyond our current technological capabilities.
Okay.
But the principles behind it,
Yeah.
manipulating matter at the atomic level,
Right.
aren't entirely outlandish.
Okay.
We're already seeing advancements in nanotechnology and 3D printing
Right.
that hint at the possibilities.
So while a material replicator
Yes,
might seem far-fetched today,
it might.
it's not entirely outside the realm of possibility.
That's a great way to put it.
So as we wrap up
Yeah.
this deep dive into the story of Valiant Thor,
Okay.
what are some key takeaways?
I think the most important takeaway
Okay.
is the power of critical thinking.
Hmm.
We've examined the evidence.
Right. Explored the context, considered multiple perspectives,
We have.
and that's crucial
It is.
in a world where information is constantly bombarding us.
It's like we need to develop our own internal truth detectors
We do.
to navigate this sea of information.
Exactly.
Even when we encounter stories that might seem outlandish or unbelievable.
It's important to engage with them thoughtfully.
It is.
Ask questions.
Right.
Seek out additional information.
Okay.
And form your own conclusions.
Don't just accept things at face value.
Nope.
Be curious.
Be skeptical.
Most importantly,
Yeah.
be open to the possibility
Right.
that there's always more to learn.
Well said.
Because ultimately,
Yeah.
that's what makes these deep dives so rewarding.
They are rewarding.
It's not about finding definitive answers.
Nope.
It's about expanding our understanding of the world
It is.
and our place in it.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe one day
Might.
we'll uncover real evidence of extraterrestrial visitors.
Until then,
Until then,
we'll keep exploring the mysteries of the universe.
we will.
One deep dive at a time.
One deep dive at a time.
Absolutely.
And remember,
Yeah.
even if Valiant Thor was
Yeah.
just a figment of someone's imagination,
Right.
the questions his story raises about peace,
Yeah.
sustainability,
Mm.
and human unity are very real.
They are.
Those are questions worth pondering.
They are.
And they're questions that we as a species need to find answers to.
Well said. A huge thank you to all our listeners
Yes, thank you.
for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive
We did.
into the enigmatic tale of Valiant Thor.
It's a great story.
Keep those questions coming,
Please do.
and we'll see you next time
We will.
for another plunge into the depths of the unknown.
Until next time.
Thank you for joining CMF Conspiracies podcast. What do you think about the topic we covered today? Comment below with your thoughts on this subject. If you have a conspiracy you wish for us to deep dive into, please send your topic to our email address or leave it in the comments. Thank you again for watching. Like and subscribe for more content like this.